Titans Mock Draft Live and NFL Draft My Kais coming at you right after the bumper. What's going on, Titans fans? Welcome back into the Glory Day Sports Show. I am your host, Jake Robertson. If you're checking us out for the first time, make sure you go like, comment, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or if you're following us on Twitter, make sure you hit that follow button as well. Today, we're talking about NFL Draft My Guys. So I've got jam-packed show for you guys today. I got 8 players we're going to be talking about here. 4 on offense, 4 on defense. I did limit it down to only 8. After that, we're going to do a Titans mock draft live on PFF. We're going to talk through those picks and why we should approach it that way. Then after that, you guys submitted your mock drafts through Twitter. So we're going to go through those and grade all of them. But let's go ahead and get started with our first My Guy. And we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball. And that's going to be with Brennan Jackson out of Washington State. This is a dude, if I'm thinking overall motors in this draft class, this might be the top of that. He's got great size, as you can see, great length, high-end motor, physical presence in the run game. Can play that inside-outside versatility for you. It's kind of that tweener. You would like to see him clean up his pass rush plan. The guy... He's similar to Lucas Van Ness, I think, kind of coming out of last year. Not the overall talent, but has similar traits. I have a current mid-4th round grade on him right now. And as you can see, draft comp, Bud Dupree. This is a guy that might not show up on the reports or the game logs at the end of the game, but he does make a difference. And he might be kind of what you're wanting to get out of Rashad Weaver initially. But Brennan Jackson, 4th round. I think he's kind of ADP around 6th round right now. I think he is undervalued. But let's go ahead and hop into our first offensive player. We've got some Nepo babies on here. We're going to go to Brendan Rice. I have all the way up to wide receiver 7 currently. One of the only wide receivers that actually has decent size after those initial kind of coming off the board. Mid-second round grade. I haven't seen anything above a 4th really since the Senior Bowl. Marvin Jones Jr., I think he can be that deep intermediate threat for a team, especially on the Titans. If you can get him in the 4th round, that'd be freaking awesome. Great explosiveness off the line. He does need to learn to kind of play better against press, that physicality. That's something he is going to struggle with initially, but I think it is something he can grow from, and I think he could be a great wide receiver too for a team, definitely. Next up, let's go back to the defensive side, and this is a guy I've been high on for quite a while now, and that is Trey Taylor out of Air Force. I didn't expect him to grade out the way he did. This is a decent athlete, and you can see if you're a Titans fan, draft comp Kevin Byard coming in. I think he's a very intellectual player. He does need to refine some of his zone skills, but I think he can man up against a tight end. Can cover the running backs. I think he can line up against some wide receivers. I think this is a guy. As you can see, I have a mid-4th round grade on him. You can get him in most mocks in the late 7th. This is a dude that is a Jim Thorpe Award winner, going to the best safety in his class, a former running back. He definitely has the intangibles as well. He's a leader, and his coaches and teammates rave about him. He's an older prospect, but I think this is a guy that could come in very early and could show out for a team. Anthony Smith in the comments, Brendan Rice is 2nd in PFF of all wide receivers in college and the best route runner. I don't know if I agree with that entirely. I think he can actually refine his route running quite a bit at the next level. But I think playing in that system with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, I think he kind of is overlooked. And I do like what I see on tape, and I think he can definitely grow from there. But let's go ahead, go back to the offensive side of the ball here. And this is a tackle prospect that I've been high on for a very, very long time. This is Javon Foster out of Mizzou, late third-round grade, a little higher on him than most. I didn't have a real good draft comp for him. Athletically, he's very similar to Leon Eichenberg, though. He could kick inside to guard. He could switch over to right tackle. But this is I think he was first team All SEC this past season, only allowed 1 sack. And it wasn't even to an SEC team. It came in regards to, I think, Middle Tennessee State, if I remember right off the top of my head. He could still grow into his body, could add some more beef to his frame, but athletically, I think he's there. And technically, he does a very, very good job on just passing off stunts and blitzes. And that's something the Titans did not have this past season, and they haven't had for a couple seasons now. I think Javon Foster, break glass emergency if they don't get Joe Alder, one of these great talents in the first couple rounds. I think you could bring in Javon Foster, and I think Billy C could take a hold of that little moldable clay and put him into a startable, respectable starter not too long after we start the season. But let's go to our first linebacker. And if you saw the thumbnail, I mean, that should probably give it away, but that's Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky. This is a guy that was a Bruce Feldman's Freaks List guy, tested very well at the combine, as you can see. Has some growing to do as far as a attacking linebacker. He can look at times like he shot out of a cannon. He does struggle to get off blocks and can become lost in coverage. I do see the athleticism to man up on a tight end when you need him to, or to grab those running backs out of the backfield. I think Trevin Wallace, I like you can see, I have LV5. I think early 4th. I'd be super happy with that. Another guy that's kind of projected 6th, 7th round. I don't think teams are going to view him that way. I think they are going to see him as a earlier round grade. Let's go ahead and switch back to the offensive side of ball, though, and that's going to be Tyrone Tracy, the Purdue product, former Iowa wide receiver. This is a guy that hasn't played the position for a very long time and still shows great traits and just finding the open space. He shows great vision coming out of the backfield. Obviously, former receiver, he is able to catch the ball. And if you look at the RAS scores, or the relative athletic scores from the combine, this is about as close as you can get to Tajay Spears coming out. And this is a guy that Rank Arthon's going to love. Definitely high on him. I don't know if it'll be a tie in with the Tony Pollard signing, but regardless, we got to throw him on here just because I do love what I see there. James Cook, obviously, I think that's a good comp for him. Next up, we have our last defensive player, and that is going to be Elijah Jones out of Boston College. This is a guy you don't see get tested a lot in press. When you do, I did like what I saw. Athletically, that was the biggest concern for him. I did not know how well he was going to test out. He's respectable. 4.44 40, 155, 10-yard split. That's fine. He's probably going to get tested early on the deep ball just because he is a little grabby at the top of the stem. But in off coverage and zone or man, I think he is one of the best coverage corners at that spot. So you're getting a discount on him in the 5th, 6th round. And I think this guy, I don't think he'll play to the ability of a Greg Newsome, but I think he has a lot of similar traits and could potentially grow into that and be a starting role for a team. I don't know if you'll ever want him to be your number 1 CB or have him follow or shadow anybody, but I think he could be respectable. And if you're getting a great starter that late in the draft, I'd be super happy with that. And then lastly, when I made this list, I only had 7 players that I wanted to talk about, and 4 of them were defensive and only 3 of them were offensive. And I was like, I got to come up with another guy. And a guy that I feel like everybody is going to look back 3 years from now and go, why did we have him ranked so low? And that's Luke McCaffrey. It seems to be just a no-brainer to me. I think if you were to put this man in the slot, I'd be fine taking him in the 3rd. Obviously, the Titans don't have a 3rd, but they got him in the 4th. You put him in the slot with Calvin Ridley and Nuke Hopkins, I'd be super happy with that. Athletically, he's there. He's still learning to position. He was a quarterback through most of his career, still refining his route running. I think he is ahead of the curve there. There's a little typo on that. Draft comp was Torrey Holt. I think he has some of the most natural hands I've seen coming into the draft, and especially in this class alone. I really like what we saw out of Luke McCaffrey, and I think he could offer return ability as well. And primarily you're playing him the slot in year one, but I think he has the ability to play on the outside as well. I think this is going to be a steal for somebody 3 years from now. But let's go ahead, hop back in over here, and we have our mock draft going on next. We're going to go ahead and throw that on the screen. We're going to be using PFF today just because their system operates the fastest, in my opinion. We're going to go and play around with this. When I view mock drafts, I don't view it as you have to play around with it. If you're just drafting the same guy each and every time, you're not seeing anything different. But with the rankings and how everything has fallen here recently, and this is what I'm talking about, Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board here. I give that about a 5% chance. I don't think that's going to happen. We can look at this. So Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, any order, that's pretty chalk. And then Roman Dunze, that would be Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion. You could see Malik Neighbors there, and you could flip-flop those two with the Chargers. Maybe they're higher on Roman Dunze, though. Maybe it's possible. And then that comes to New York. New York has been reported that they're very in on Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors. And I've heard whispers that they'd even be potentially interested in trading up to grab one of those guys. If they were both off the board, we'll say Marvin Harrison was at pick 4 instead of Rome. I think they could go Joe Alt over that. And it's also been reported that they like the quarterbacks as well. So maybe this is where J.J. McCarthy lands, or one of these teams 8 through 14 are interested in trading up to that spot. So obviously, if this is how it played out, we're punching the draft button on Marvin Harrison Jr. But let's go ahead and view the trades just because we can. Let's look at this and see who's interested to begin with. Minnesota, obviously, have the 2 first-round picks. And based on some of your mocks, I saw the 11 and was it 23 trading up to that spot. I give that a 0% chance. I don't think Minnesota's doing that. If they're doing that, they're doing it through 4 through 6. They're getting a higher pick so they can get their guy. Denver's interesting here. Let's look at that because I think that's more realistic. 7, 12. Obviously, we're getting those in the swap. You get that 3rd-round pick. Maybe we're looking at a 2nd next year. You could see that. And I'd be fine with that. But for the sake, let's go and do it. Just see how it plays out. We'll go and offer that trade. So now we got pick 12, and we got pick 76 in the 3rd round. So there's our 3rd. That could be the L'Jarius Sneed trade, potentially. We're going to go ahead and just keep it as is today, though. And let's see who's there at 12. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone. So Brock Bowers on the board, Cooper DeJean, Byron Murphy. Hot take, I don't think there's an interior defensive lineman that goes in the 1st round this season. I like Byron Murphy. He is my IDL 1. I like Braden Fisk. He's my IDL 2. I don't Devondre Sweat, a little bit lower than that, but I don't see them as 1st-round talents. And I guess you could say Johnny Newton as well. I'm a little lower on him. Quinion Mitchell. I haven't seen a mock draft with a defensive player for the Titans just yet. Quinion Mitchell has cemented himself as CB1, in my opinion. This is a dude that has shown out through this pre-draft process from tape the past 2 seasons at Toledo. He showed at the Senior Bowl, was the best player on the field there, and showed out at the Combine. So we're just going to, and then Cortland in the comments, he said he's taking Byron Murphy. I said, why we're not doing that, but I get it, and I know I'm in the minority. A lot of people do like Byron Murphy and Johnny Newton and all these guys. Quinion, if we don't sign a CB, and that's where we're going here, Zach. We're going Quinion Mitchell just because we haven't seen it yet. I just want to play around with it, and let's say L'Jarius Sneed isn't traded. I think that is probably the best player on the board at that point in time, and it's at a premium position. So quit sleeping on bro. Quentin Newton. I could see Quentin. Yep. Yep, we got a lot of people in the comments. Seems Bowers the guy if he's still there. I like Bowers. I love Bowers. He's one of my top players on my big board. But I just don't see it. I'm not going tight end in the first round. You don't draft tight ends in the round one yet. That's where we're going. So round 2, we have the third round pick now. So we can kind of be a little seamless with this. Tyler Nubin would probably be, Tyler Nubin would be the top of my draft board. But do you just build around Denard Wilson at this point? I would love that there. Lab McConkey, Braden Fisk, that's what we talked about earlier. That's actually, I go back and forth with him and Byron Murphy. He is a stud. Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall, I think Rand Carthon is going to absolutely love, just on the size, the route running ability, where he's going to fit into this offense. I could really, really see him going there. And then we just kind of go a little bit lower, see if there's anybody else that kind of just sticks out. If you're going linebacker, I love Peyton Wilson. He is my ILB1, but it's a little rich for me. I have about an early third round grade, not an early second round grade for him. So, man, we could go a couple different spots here. So, man, and then the tackles, they just flew off the board. Perron, I'm not super high on out of Yale. He just seemed to be all over the place, personally, with his technique. He has the size. So if you can put him with Callahan and he can build him up, amazing. Patrick Paul, I hate the anchor. The dude is so upright, and I think he's going to get taken advantage of at the next level. Blake Fisher, true right tackle on the other side of Joe Alt. I really like Blake Fisher. I don't know if I like him this early, though. And the Dominic Puny, there's been talks that he's getting kicked into guard, but that dude can play tackle. And we just brought in the the Kansas offensive line coach to pair with Callahan, and I'm sure he's got a great insight on him. Seems just be early on the tackle. So we're going to revisit that probably next round, and we will go, we're going to go pretty Ricky here. We're going to go Ricky Pearsall in the second round at pick 38 to pair him with Calvin Ridley and Nuke Hopkins. He can learn from them, and then after Nuke probably leaves this next season, he can kind of fill into that spot. So lots of people in the comments try to get one of them. Love Cortland. Great dude. Go check out all of his podcasts. I think he's got a couple of them. Always posting out the content. He's all in the L'Jarius Sneed trade, though. I've seen him post about that a couple times this past couple of days, and he's got great resources on that. Puny at 76 would be a steal. He might be the pick here. We'll see. All right, so we got Junior Colson, who is actually my linebacker 2 right now. I just see a leader. Athletically, he leaves some to be desired. He is not Peyton Wilson. He is not Jeremiah Trotter. But being in the right place at the right time, that is that dude. And you need somebody to wear the green dot right now, because Kenneth Murray is not the guy to do that. He could definitely play that role. But we have a glaring hole at the tackle spot right now. And there's Jeremiah Trotter, so that'd be another great one. Patrick Paul's still on the board. This is a spot that I'd be more interested in, Paul, just because physically he does have traits. We do have Dominic Puny on the board, though, who I have slightly ahead of him. And we also have Javon Foster, who you could definitely get later. I don't think he's going to make it that long in the draft. Maybe he's there at 106, and you can kind of get your left tackle, right tackle at the same time. I like Dominic Puny, though. I'm bringing him in the third. And if I can get a cornerback in the first and him in the third, I'm super happy with that. I think he could be an early day one starter for you. Might not be great first season, as most tackles aren't in the rookie season. I don't think Joe Alt's going to be amazing his first season, but he's going to learn to grow, and especially having Callahan there. Definitely going to help with that. So we filled up some primary holes here that we need. So we have Javon Baker on the board now, who I know many fans are high on. I do like him as well. Obviously, transfer out of Alabama to UCF. cooked Oklahoma's defense this past season, has the athletic traits, former 5-star, if I remember correctly, is a dude, love Ray Davis. We're going to look at this name right here, Eric All. So PFF has it broken pretty much on their system that you can get Eric All with the last pick of your entire round. And we're just going to eliminate that from the board. He will go higher, rank 103. I mean, he's probably going in the 4th round, so he's off the board. Marshawn Lloyd, I just don't see them going running back this early. I could see a 7th round being spent on running back just with Pollard and Spears back there. Tyke Smith, I love him in the slot, but Roger McCreary obviously kind of eliminates that. Cam Hart, Cole Bishop. Do we bring in another corner just to solidify that position? Elijah Jones, we talked about him earlier. That is the dude I am all in on. There's a bunch of different spots we could go. Dominic Puny with Christian Jones would be very great as well. You could trade down here. Kansas City be interested. I don't know what they'd be giving up, and that's a long trade down to 131. So we're just looking best player available. It might be Cam Hart, honestly. Leonard Taylor, if we can kind of get that guy, Malik Washington. So I think this is where we pull the trigger on another tackle. And Roger Rosengarten, I love him at the right side as well. So that's another option. He could kick inside. But it's Javon Foster to me. 1 sack in the SEC past season, all SEC. I think he has what it takes to thrive at the next level. Those and see how it goes out. Love Colson, steady and aggressive. Completely agree. All right. Back on the board. And like I said, Eric All is pretty much broken on this. Kalen King. I know that used to be a Cortland guy. Kalen King, I don't know if I've seen a more fall from grace. Would have been potentially CB1 coming into this draft. Top 5 was talked about. And athletically didn't have a good year, or didn't have a good testing year. Didn't have great film this past season and got cooked at the Senior Bowl a lot. So this guy that's off my board, Grayson Murphy. If you don't know, that's one of the twins, him and Gabriel Murphy. They only invited one of them to the combine, but athletically, they're very gifted. Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint out of Georgia, suffered a broken leg, if I remember right, in the beginning of his year, and really didn't become a starter this past season. Still has work to grow, and if you're looking at a guy that's like can't separate but has the athletic traits, that's probably him. Theo Johnson, athletic freak. Great athletically, and liked what I saw at the Senior Bowl. I don't know if we go tight end here. We have Tyler Davis on the board. We could go interior defensive line here. Zach Zinter, one of my almost made the list for my guys. Zach Zinter obviously had the gruesome injury to end the season, but all reports that he's going to be recovered and ready for training camp. So that's a dude I could see us going there. Just grabbing pieces at the offensive line position. Malik Mufasa, I like him. Drake Nugent. So you go linebacker here as well. And James Williams, it says safety, but the dude is going to play linebacker. He's slight, 6'5", 215-ish. Could definitely, if you're just going inside linebacker by committee, and you have Kenneth Murray out there on first and second down, you pair him with Dr. Gibby, and then you bring in a James Williams out there on third down and pair him with an Otis Reese. I'd be super happy with that. I'd be perfectly fine with that. I think he offers a lot on special teams as well. We could definitely go there. Dwight McGovern, love him as good size for a cornerback. Great. Taj Washington, we'll see what he does as a senior, his pro day today. But I think we just got to go, man. We could go a couple different ways, but I think we're just going to go Tyler Davis. Like getting that beef on the inside, and Sebastian Joseph, no day, as we learned earlier today. I don't remember. I think it was a 2-year deal. I don't remember off the top of my head. Forgive me on that. But we can bring in some beef and pair him with Jeffrey Simmons. You got to have a rotation there. I like Keandre Colburn for what it's worth, but you got to have bodies, and that's what this team needs right now. So we're back on the clock in the 6th round. And Tip Ryman, love him. Didn't realize how athletic he was till just kind of before the show, really looking at it. Great blocker. I think you can kind of look later in this draft and maybe even get one in the 7th round. And we'll probably play around with that. Kamal Haddon, I know Vols fans, if you're in the chat, you guys are probably going to be throwing a fit that he's not drafted here. And I mean, I don't hate him, but I don't love him either. Brennan Jackson, that's my go-to in the 6th round. Like we talked about earlier, I have a 4th round grade on him. So if you can get him here, I like Hunter Norzad. Great athletic freak at center position. I think he could get into guard as well. Still Chambers out on him. Julian Pearl, like him, like Cohen. I mean, I just to keep it simple, you gotta add something on the edge to pair with Key and Harold Landry. And I think, like we talked about earlier, I think he could be that Bud Dupree role and might not show up on the stat sheet, but I think he helps everybody around him. Let's drop down to these 7th round picks where we got 3 of them pretty much back to back to back. Eric All still on the board, like I said. Trey Taylor, I mean, that's the slam dunk pick for me. And if you see any of my mocks, he's probably here at this pick. Love Trey Taylor, and I think he offers a lot on special teams as well. And when I'm approaching, what I look at for in 7th round picks is I want you to contribute on special teams. It doesn't have to be to the extent of a Kyle Phillips 4th rounder like Mike Vrabel says, but if you can get a guy in the 7th round and he can make the 53-man roster and contribute in any way, shape, or form, amazing. Personally, we'd be high on Trevin Wallace here as well. Like I said, he's going much earlier in this. So he's erased from this mock draft, but he would be the pick if he was there. So Kenny Logan, another guy, another safety that could be brought in and contribute on the back end. But, I mean, it's hard to get away from it. We're just going to go Trey Taylor here. We're going to see how this draft falls for the next pick, 6 picks away. I like Coker. We could bring him in. Coleman played right tackle for TCU. I think he suits better at guard. You could definitely develop him, I think. And this is a point where we could be looking at running back as well. I think if you bring in another guy, you might move Chestnut out. But like I said, we need somebody that could offer return ability as well. And then we can look at the tight end position as well. So I think that's where we're actually going to go here because I know he's still going to be there. And that is Brevin Spanford. Brevin Spanford is a monster of a human being, 6'7", 270. Had a down year this past season, but 2 years ago, this guy was a freak. And he was one of my late round steals that I liked last season, and then he ended up returning to school. But big body, he can fill in his Trevon Wesco role. Got to have it. We're going to take him at tier 227. And then we got our last pick on the board. Let's see how this falls out. And then we can grade our own mock draft. And then if you guys are in the comments, make sure you head over to YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys are blowing it up. We got a little over 300 people in the chat right now. Definitely check it out. So who do we want with our last pick? I mean, we could go a couple different directions. If you go look at the wide receiver, Hayden Haddon's out there. Love Hayden Haddon. Showed out at the Hulu Bowl and is a great prospect in his own right. Look at the running backs. Sheridan, Ali, Watson, similar mold. They're the smaller speed backs. Rashawn Ali, I believe he tore his bicep at the Senior Bowl. I don't know what the time frame really looks like on that. I love Blake Watson. I think he should be rated higher, and that's probably where we'll end up going. We can look at maybe the tackles or safeties here. Nothing really there that I liked. I haven't watched a lot of these guys as well, so maybe there are some sleepers here, but we're just going to go running back. Pair him on the back end. Blake Watson, you're a Tennessee Titans, keeping you in Tennessee. You're going to play return for us, and you play special teams, probably supplant Chestnut. And if we look at Rank Carthon and the 49ers, they have this plethora of backs. And, if you comment in there, we're going to go over them all here in just a minute. So let's review this. So we traded back with Denver. We got first and a third, a second next season. We picked up Quinion Mitchell, Ricky Pearsall. And like I said, this is just playing around with it. This might not be how I would officially have it ranked, but I want to see what it looks like. And I like it. Quinion Mitchell, Ricky Pearsall, Dominic Puny, Javon Foster, kind of going back-to-back with the tackles there. They both have the ability to kick inside as well. Tyler Davis, Brennan Jackson, Trey Taylor, Brevin Spanford, and Blake Watson. Super happy with that. A name said kicker, you could roll a dice in the last round, and I don't mind that. I believe Alabama. I apologize. I haven't done a lot of kicker research. I know Alabama has Will Reichard coming out. I'll be fine with that in the 7th round. I mean, you're just taking flyers at that point. But let's go ahead and kick back over to Twitter/X. And if you're not following, make sure you head over there. We're going to go ahead and cover, and there it is, these mocks. And we'll give you a little brief grade. And if you see somebody in the chats that you want to grade as well, definitely hop in. Let's see. There we go. So we got Anthony up front, Joe Alt in the first, Byron Murphy in the second. No trades in this one. It looks like Javon Foster, man after my own heart. Trey Taylor, and you're listening. You're listening to what I'm putting down. I haven't watched Darius. Can't comment too much on him. Dwight McGovern, love that in the 7th. I don't think it'd be there, but I would love it. And then Dallas Grant, slightly undersized out of Toledo. But like I said, we're looking for special teamers at that point. He's not going to offer you much on defense, but he could be a great special teamer in my opinion. Gut reaction, A-. I like this. I like this a lot. But let's go ahead. Who's next? I think we got about 15, 20 of these. You guys kept pouring them in. Who is this from? John Broyles. See if we can zoom in on this so you guys can see it. Maybe not. What is this? So they drafted Joe Alt in the 7th, traded 38 and Kyle Phillips to Pittsburgh for a 2nd, a 3rd, and 4th. Don't think they do that. And then they traded again. So I like the players that are on this. Like the players. But this is just not realistic. And this is just taking advantage of the mock draft simulators. And it's just, you can't grade something like this just because there's a 0% chance of this happening. So we'll give it a C- just based on that. Next up, let it fly. Billie Jean Season. Traded down. Looks like they picked up a 3rd. 1st from Vegas next season and a 7th next season. I don't see any. Okay, you picked up one additional 6th round pick this year is what it looks like as well. Brought in Brock Bowers at 13th. A little rich for my blood. I mean, the prospect is there and he could pan out. And if we're looking at the receivers at that point, I mean, it's if you view Brock as a receiver, he's probably right below Rome Odunze as wide receiver 4. And that's just another way of maybe talking myself into it. But TJ Tampa, love TJ Tampa. I don't know if I love him at 38. Tez Walker, didn't like his tape, didn't like him at the Senior Bowl, but athletically he's there. And if you look at like just based on analytics and you're kind of comparing these guys, he's definitely up there. And if he can learn and stay healthy, awesome. I'd be fine with it, but I'm not taking him in the 3rd round. There's probably 6 guys at that position alone that I would take over him. Mason Smith, don't mind that at all. If he can stay on the field, great dude. Jared Wiley, good tight end for TCU, kind of as a do-it-all for him. Athletically might not be superb, but he can block, he can catch, he can do the things you need him to. I'm out on Tommy Eichenberg. Didn't like what I saw this past season. Elijah Jones, loved that. Frank Crum in the 7th round. Physical freak for where you're getting him, but is very, very, very raw. I wouldn't mind taking a flyer at him at that point in time, though. You get a 1st next season. Vegas, I don't think they're going to be very good this year. I think they probably are picking even lower than they are this year. So that's a high 1st, in my opinion, which I would love. B+. We'll go B+ here. Good job. Then next up, we got the Mad Jog Day. Looks like he traded down with pick 10, that'd be the Jets. So he traded down, got a third. Looks like there might be one additional pick in here. Ryan Fournette in the 7th, Joe Milton in the 7th, Cam Hart like that, Taj like that. Jaheim Bell really doesn't fit for what the Titans are looking for. They got their two athletic guys. You need somebody that can block. Bell is not that, in my opinion. I don't like Ladarius Anderson at guard either. Luke Ororo and Byron Murphy back-to-back. You've solidified that interior defensive line. Jalen Wright. I just can't look at spending 3 of your top 4 picks on positions of not it's super importance. I would love Byron Murphy at 39, and I guess you traded down one spot there for something. Roman Duze would love that, but there's also not a tackle on this entire mock draft. So that's a glaring need there, and only one offensive lineman in total, and it's a guy I don't like. I'm going to go C+ here. Next up, got Coach B and J. No trades in this one. Joe Alt, Troy Franklin, Dominic Puny, Tyrese Knight, AJ Barner, Gabriel Murphy. I don't think Murphy makes it that far. Kamal Hatton in the very last pick. Be great for that. I mean, like I said, I'm not super high on Hatton, but if you get him with the last pick, I'm all for it. I like Puny at 106. Not super high on Tyrese Knight. Franklin, I go back and forth with the man. Very slender frame. Has great production. Made Bo Nix look good this past season, but the route running is to be questioned. Not a large route tree, and he could come into the league and show out. But you got Joe Alt at 7 as well, so I like the bones of this. We're going to go A- here. Next up, Thomas Swan. I think he is in the chat. Yep, he's in the chat. So, Thomas, we got Malik Neighbors at 7, my wide receiver 1, and we got Jonathan in the chat. And if you guys are checking us out for the first time, make sure you go like and subscribe. We go live every Thursday morning. Me, Jonathan, and Be Well, just breaking down anything and everything Titans. But got Malik Neighbors, Peyton Wilson at 38. You're filling needs, and then Michael Hall in round 4. Love Michael Hall in round 4 just because I think you're getting a discount on him at this point in time just because he came out probably a year too early. If he was to go back to school, I could see him coming back and being a late first round grade. I really like that. And Javon Foster, Jalen Simpson. Jalen Simpson is an intriguing prospect. Not many safeties in this class have the ability to be a split field safety. But at the same time, the man is like 160 pounds. The man is light. He is a liability in the run game. But that's a guy you could potentially bring out there on just passing situations and have a great coverage safety there. So I wouldn't mind that. Dylan McMahon out of North Carolina State just I don't see the huge need there. So I might go different direction with maybe those last 2 picks. I'm fine with Sheridan with the last one, though. I like it. Peyton Wilson might be just a little bit too rich for me. Again, we're relying Javon Foster to be that starting left tackle for us, which I like, but is still also concerning. We're going to go B+ here. B+. Lot to like, some I don't like, though. With Graydon Mox, we are indeed. We're getting towards the end. All right, who is this? I just skipped over it. The Sauce, Chappelle Sauce. It's like we traded pick 38 with Arizona, picked up an additional 3rd next season, and picked up 2/3 this season. Don't mind that. I don't think Arizona would do that. But we got Leggett. I'm not super high on Leggett, but if you get him in the 3rd, I'm perfectly fine with that. And like I said earlier, Braden Fix is my second interior defensive lineman I have out there. So I love that. I love that. Chris Abrams Drain, not super high on him. And kind of, you're looking at him and Roger McCreary are very similar. So I'd probably go a different direction there. But Chris Abrams-Drain, former wide receiver, if I remember correctly, has the ability to be that ball hawk maybe for you that Roger McCreary is not. And this team just needs depth. So I don't hate it, but I would probably go a different direction. I don't like the Jalen Ford pick, though. I'm not high on Jalen Ford. Nate Watson in the 7th. That's huge. I love Nate Watson. Dude is a beefy boy. Second team All-SEC, I believe, this past season. Really like what I see on tape. I don't see why he's rated as low as he is. Athletically, he's not that gifted, and I get that. But at the linebacker position, you need somebody that can stop the run on early downs, and Watson could definitely do that very early. Cornelius Johnson at wide receiver, I watched him as I was watching Roman Wilson, and I loved Wilson, and I didn't like Johnson. But with his testing and everything, it's a guy that I need to go back and rewatch just because I feel like I'm personally probably too low on him, and it's something I have way down on my list right now, but definitely want to recircle back to that. Traded down twice in a mock. Got a haul. He traded with Arizona. Great to have you in the chat. Oh, I didn't grade it. I mean, that's good mock. I mean, I like it. I mean, there's a couple places I'd fix it, but we'll go A, which I think is the highest we've graded thus far. We'll go A here. Next up, we got Mr. Tristan Melton. Doesn't look like we have any trades in this one. See if I can zoom in on this one just because it's so small. We got Joe Alt, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy might be the most complexing player in this draft. Obviously, elite speed. Obviously, very small. Broke his hand 2 years ago. That kind of makes sense for the drop passes. But how is he going to do against press? And the ball production, we never saw that huge increase ever going back to his year 1. So it's a guy that I've had all the way up to wide receiver 4 at one point in time, and I've kind of cooled off on him, and I may have cooled off a little bit too much. I do like Jeremiah Trotter in the 4th. If you can get him there, amazing. I do like Trotter, and he's got the size, the speed, like what he can do as a blitzer, and has the length to be a good coverage linebacker as well. I think I have him currently as linebacker 3, but if you can get him in the 4th, heck yeah. I like Keaton. Might be a little rich there. And then Kamara. Ooh, like that. And then there's another Frank Crum out here. I have not watched Richards out of Mississippi State. Can say that. Have watched a little bit of Crumdy, but I wasn't super high on him. But you're getting in the 7th round, so not the biggest thing. I'm going to go B here. Almost B+, but we're going to say B. We're going to stick with it. And it could be higher. If I go back and watch some of these guys, it might go up a little bit higher. Let's go and zoom back out. And then next up, we got Jordan Slider. Looks like he traded down, and this is our first Minnesota trade back. We got 11 and 23 for 7 and 2 sevenths. I don't see any possible scenario where Minnesota does that. I give it a 0% chance. And we don't see, only speaking absolutes though, so we'll still grade it. Tulisi Fuwanga, there's a silent N in there that we recently learned. And Cooper DeJean, I might go a different direction at corner, but Cooper is definitely a dog, physically gifted. Lad McConkey at 38, don't mind that at all. Fits very well with what we got going on. Tommy Eichenberg and Ben Sinnott might go a little different direction there. Jalen Simpson popping back up. Haven't watched Jalen Green just yet, but 7th round prospect. Can't hate that. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot, but I don't think it's going to happen. We'll still give it an A. We'll give it an A. All right. I think we got a couple more hidden down here. Here's one. Who's this from? Ashton Kennedy. Doesn't look like we have any trades in this one. Malik Neighbors in the 1st. Love it. Patrick Paul in the 2nd. It's okay. It's okay. Cortland doesn't look like it has showed up on my end. You might throw it on that post, and we'll get to it here after this next couple. Malik Neighbors, Patrick Paul, could go different direction there, but I don't mind it. Tanner Borellini, I just don't see the need. He could kick out to guard, and he is athletic, and he could fit into this zone-based scheme. It's just too rich. I think there's probably a couple other players I would prefer at guard at that point. We got Justin at Bama. There's another Tommy Eichenberg, Dylan Johnson. I'm not a big fan of Dylan Johnson. I understand he was playing through injury in the national championship, but I didn't like him before that either. Jalen Keith, just two guys I have not watched. This is a B- for me. It's all B-. All right. Looks like we got another one. Oh, we got a couple more. So we got the Travelers within. Another Minnesota trade back. Like I said, not going to happen, but it is what it is. You got Olu Fashanu at 11. Kool-Aid, who had his pro day today, ran a 4.49, if I remember right. And he's dealing with a Jones fracture, which shouldn't be a big issue for him. Should be ready by training camp and stuff like that. Love that. Kool-Aid was a guy that I had CB1 for a long time. He's kind of fell back to, I think I have him at CB4 if I remember right off the top of my head. I have a low first round grade on him though. So it might be just a little rich, but right in that area. Xavier Leggett at 38. Don't like that. I'm fine with it, but I don't like it. Cooper Beebe, another guy. If you're just looking at pure PFF grades, one of the best guards in this class, not super high on him. There's probably a decent amount that I'd probably prefer over Cooper. And I don't really think he fits this scheme. I think he's a gap-only player, in my opinion. Mason Smith, Kitten, Trevin Wallace, man after my own heart. Eric All, looks like you took advantage of the PFF errors. And then Will Reichard, like we were talking about earlier, kicker. You can go kicker, last pick. You also have to carry him on the roster, though. That's a big thing. Is he going to sit on the practice squad? Are you going to keep him on the 53? That's just, I'm poking around and finding out this next season, and then we'll readdress probably next season. I like what we saw to Folk. He's very consistent. He doesn't have the leg strength that you might need, but definitely don't mind it. And then grade. A lot of picks I like, a lot I don't like. B+. Then we got Johnny B. Johnny Bravo. Looks like he only did a 4-round mock. We got Joe Alt in the first at pick 7. Looks like he traded back with Oakland, picked up 44 and 77. So they traded down 6 spots and threw in a 5th round. I mean, maybe they do that. You picked up Fisk in the 2nd round. I don't mind it. A little rich for my blood, but like I said, I'm high on Fisk. Kalen Bullock. We talk about these split safeties and who can have that versatility. Kalen Bullock's probably one of the only other ones that can do it, in my opinion. And then Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Good prospect, and I don't mind it. Has the ball production. Could definitely show out there. We're just grading it on a 4-round. This is solid. I don't know. I'm going to say B. Solid B. Don't mind it at all. If you guys are in chat, make sure you go like, comment, and subscribe. And looks like we got Cortland's in the mock as well. Scotty, we did cover yours. If you go watch back the video, we definitely did cover yours. So we got Cortland in the chat. We got Talisi Fuwaga. So he traded down and looks like he picked up another 3rd, another 4th. And it looks like we moved down in the 7th, the swap of 7ths maybe, from 228 to 242. Maybe that's what we already had. I don't know. We'll get Talisi Fuwaga, Xavier Leggett, Enos Rakestraw Jr. in the 3rd. So that one's interesting. I'm lower on Enos than a lot. And, I mean, there's been mock drafts where I've seen him go in the bottom of the 1st. Super aggressive corner, which you love to see. And Denard Wilson's talked about it plenty of times now. How do you cause turnovers? It's population and technique. And if I think about that, I mean, that's Enos. I'm fine with that. Kalen Bullock, we just talked about him. Mason Smith, Tommy Eichenberg, Frank Crum. Love that. Deshaun Anthony, haven't watched him. And I haven't watched Light Trick Griffin either just yet. I just need to dive into Mississippi's tape. I haven't seen a lot of them. I mean, it's solid. I'm going to change some stuffs up, but I like the trade back. A minus. A minus. We'll do one more little refresh, see if we got anything else come through. Doesn't look like it, so we're going to drop that off. But that's all I had today, guys. You guys definitely showed out. I didn't expect as many comments or mock drafts to be submitted. But if you are checking us out now, make sure you guys check us out tomorrow morning. Join me and Jonathan and B-Will. We're drafting. What are we drafting tomorrow? I don't remember. We cover something new every week. Last week, it was TV shows. Before that, we've done a bunch of different ones. But make sure, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Love you, mean it.